Welcome guys to hopefully my last edits to this team. This is my team reveal, but before we begin, I just want to say please make sure to subscribe on YouTube as well as give us a like on all our social media at Nerds for Life SC. That is on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that, so you can keep up to date with all the latest SuperCoach news as well as my notes from the entire pre-season. And all of those notes have been put into this team, which I hope is the 50k winner, obviously. As we all do. And I'm sure we'll all be disappointed. Or at least one person won't be. Hopefully, one of those people are listening to this episode. So, I'm just going to kick it off with my defense. Just make sure that I'm actually recording everything. Yes, I am, which is great. Just make sure everything's working perfect, because I don't want to start again. I'm just going to kick it off with Harry Sheasel. Absolute gun. Dominated the preseason game. I cannot see his position. I'm picking him. I can see him being the D1 at season's end. D2, Lockie Whitfield. Now, Whitfield is the kind of guy that, he looks amazing. Against the Pies this week, looked absolutely incredible. He's got the role. He only had 75% of time on ground due to a cramp, and he still scored 111. Lockety lock. Jordan Clark. Yeah, Jordan Clark. I think he's up for a massive year. Had the breakout last year, which was his 5th in the system. He's now entering his 6th year, and it looks like he's the main distributor in defense for Freo, so I can see that being an absolute bargain price if I'm correct. Now, Matty Roberts, I can see him having a massive season. He looks like he's got the same role as Lockie Whitfield. I didn't want to start him due to his bye, but I just don't think that I can go without him. He is a mid-pricer, but I can see him doing quite well. Had the role at the end of last year, and I just want to read out his scores since round 18. And they were 95, 114, 161, 85, 92, 112, 118. And if that's the kind of stuff that he's going to be pumping out, then please sign me up. Ben Patton is the rookie that I've currently got sitting in D5. D5 at the moment. Doesn't scream like a sexy pick, but this is his 8th season in the AFL system, so he's got a big body player. His break-even is 25, and his first game he scored a nice 60s score. What is that? What did he finish? 67. So he's well exceeded his break-even. He's got DPP as a defensive forward. Now, his job security isn't the best, but did come home strong. He had a pretty poor start to the game, but finished well. I guess if he's picked, you're going to have to pick him because we don't have many defensive options. And the thing is, he's already got one game in his cycle, which means that he's 1 week closer to any other rookie in defense, really, to having a price rise. So I do like that, and I think that's why I'm going to be going with a pattern. Same thing with James Leake. Only had 11 disposals on the weekend. Did not have a lot of time on ground. 55% time on ground. It was his debut. Did score a 64, and his break even is 22. He's 119k. I like the pick because there's still a lot of players injured for the Giants as well as suspended. Did enough. And if he's scoring a 64 with only 55% time on ground, holy shit. Imagine if this guy was given 70% or 80%. He does play outside, so the guys that have missed games aren't affected by James Leake, if that makes sense. He's not affected by those guys. I can't see him making way for a Tom Green, because Tom Green is a completely different player. I think Weir is the kind of guy that would drop out for Tom Green, for example. So I think at the moment he's probably one of the best defensive options. And then just to round out my back line, I've got Zach Reed, who I think is an absolute lockety-lock, and sat there in my defense on my bench last year all season, so hopefully he's not going to do the same this year. And then you got Luke Trainer, who confirmed I believe is making his debut. I did read on Twitter. At 113k, 500, looked really good against the Pies in the practice match. Look, as a key position player playing for Richmond, pick 18, I think, in last year's national draft. So he was a highly rated player. I just don't see him scoring massive, and I can see him potentially falling out of the side when other players are available. So just keep an eye out on him. And moving on to where I have stacked my team into the midfield, Lockie Neal. Now, with no more buy, I think that you have to... I'm going to be picking Lockie Neal at M1. Now, 645k is expensive, but I just want to point out his first few scores. And they are Sydney, West Coast, juicy. Geelong, Richmond, Dogs, Collingwood, St Kilda, Gold Coast, North Melbourne in the first 9 games. I can see Lockie Neal going absolutely massive against most of those teams. Andy Brayshaw has been in my side since Team Picker has dropped and has not left my side, along with Jordan Clark and Harry Sheasel. All 3 of those guys are lockety-locked. I see Andy Brayshaw having a massive year, and his back half of the year last year was huge. I just want to show you what that was. And it was 134, 85, 128, 100, 137, 137, 137, 77, 147, and 127. And if he's going to be going anywhere near that kind of level, I want him in my team. I can't see him or Sarong doing very different scores. I see them scoring roughly the same amount throughout the year, and at a cheaper price, I think Brayshaw, with a great buy, is a kind of guy that I want to start. Noah Anderson is another that is tempting me, and I think I need to start him, despite me not wanting to have too many buy players. But my God, he looked incredible. He's got the captaincy. He looked incredible in the practice match, and now he's going up against the Eagles straight off the bat. If it wasn't for someone else, I'd probably be captaining him. He's got West Coast, Melbourne, Adelaide, North Melbourne, and Richmond. 3 of those, I could see him going 150 plus in 3 of the opening 5 games. Genuinely can. So I think you just have to pick someone with that kind of potential. Yes, I know his floor is kind of average, but his ceiling definitely makes up for it. And I could see him having a very consistent season, especially with the captaincy. Connor Rosie is another one that I have been keeping an eye on, especially since Zach Butters has gotten injured. Looked amazing in the practice match as well. Now, with Butters out of the team, he's probably the guy that you expect to pick up the CBAs, or at least increase his CBA attendances. His opening games, Collingwood looked pretty average against the Giants, so he might actually score well against them. Then Richmond, Essendon, St Kilda, Hawthorn, Sydney, North Melbourne in the first 7 games. He might cop a tag against the Swans and Hawthorn, but there are others that could also cop some attention. I still think that he's going to start off quite well, especially after a down year last year due to injury. He's at a discounted price. I think that it's time to jump on Rosie myself. Clayton Oliver, we know what this guy could do. This is a guy that has been priced in the 700Ks, and there's a reason for that in years gone by. He's had a full pre-season. He looks fit. He looks amazing. I think he scored 135 points in the practice match. I think you just got to get onto this guy. Honestly, you just got to get onto him. At that price, absolute bargain. Nathan O'Driscoll, his practice match was kind of average. The Indigenous All-Stars game was fantastic. He had a brilliant game. And I think that he's up for a pretty good season. He does play an outside role, but his job security should be there. He's now entering his 5th AFL season. He was an early draft pick, 198k. There are first-year rookies that are priced more than Nathan O'Driscoll. Okay? And he's got some decent matchups coming up as well. Just want to show you who they are. So he's got Geelong, Sydney, West Coast Bulldogs, and Richmond in the opening games. I can see him having some decent price. I can see him scoring pretty well against the Eagles and Richmond. So, honestly, I think for the kind of player that he is, he will have some up and down sort of games, but we've seen in the past what he can do. I believe it was his 22 season that he had that good year. Give me a moment, I'll bring it up. Yeah, so look at that. So there was 104 and 103 against the Bombers. So that shows what he can do when given the right role. And I think he will have that role now for Freo. I could see them having a big year, and Nathan O'Driscoll's going to be one of those players that helps them get to the point where they want to be. And I think Nat Fyfe's injured too, so that only helps his role. He did start very slowly in the practice match, but he came home strong with 16 disposals and 2 goals, which actually would be a pretty decent Supercoach outing. Now, Elijah Tsatsis, he has been amazing all summer. At 191k, I think that he is a must. He won't get a lot of attention by the Hawks. Other players obviously get attention before him, so I don't think he's going to cop a tag. And at 191k, I think he's one of those guys that you just need to start. The other one is Nevitt. Nevitt's got a midfield role. He's got an inside midfield role at Geelong. This is confirmed with Patrick Dangerfield. Role alone at, what is that, M8? What is that for? M8 to start off your year. Let's do it. Hopefully not another Jai Clark. Because, fuck, that was so frustrating last year. Isaac Kako as my DPP in the midfield. He had a really good game. He had a really good practice match. We're not going to be seeing that from Kako all season. But, you know what? His job security's there. He's currently the second most owned player at 70%. He's got DPP. Job security's there. I think having him on the bench is worth it. Angus Hastie is another one that had a really good game. He's playing halfback at the moment. If Sinclair comes back in the side, Hastie might actually not play. But Lee Montagna on the official Supercoach podcast did give this guy a lot of credit. So hopefully he's still in the side. Obviously, if he's not named, he's not in my team. That's just the way it is. Could go on Max Hall instead and get DPP. Or I got a little bit of cash in the tin, so I could even go about Allen, who now I'm considering very heavily after saying that, because that would cover my defense too. As I said, bench rookies are probably one of those ones where it depends on if they're playing or not. So let's just see how Hasty goes. Lucas Camporelli, 20 disposals, looked amazing in the practice match. Richmond is as soft as a first AFL game as you could possibly get. Confirmed that he is playing at 113k, almost basement price. I think you just got to do it. He plays an outside role. The Blues have in their opening 6 games North Melbourne, Richmond, and West Coast. It's juicy. It's juicy. And if Lucas Camporelli can play all of those games, I can see some decent scores from him, especially in that outside role. Looked busy. So he's playing. He's in my team. I wanted a Carlton midfielder. I said it all pre-season. I wanted a Carlton midfielder. I didn't expect it to be Lucas Camporelli, but it is. And here we are today. Now, this is the first and only time that I have had Big Maxi Gawn in my ruck line. All pre-season. All pre-season, it is the first and only time that I've had him. I have said multiple times that I didn't want him. But with Kieran Briggs going down with concussion and Lockie Keefe being the guy that is going to be their number 1 ruckman against the Demons this week, holy shit. How can you not captain Big Maxi Gawn against him? Honestly, he's he's expensive. Don't get me wrong, but I got Darcy Cameron went 164 against him. This guy's going 200 plus this week. Genuinely, holy shit. He's got a decent draw coming up as well for ruckman. So I just think that I just want to start well. Because I had my worst start to a season ever last year. I had literally ever. It was worse than my first year of Supercoach last year. That's how bad things went last year for me. Well, was it worse? I think it was. Actually, I went back and I checked, and it was pretty fucking bad. And I don't want to start again like that. So I just have to go with the guy that I think is going to have a red-hot first go at it and lock him in. The other one is Tom... By the way, this vice-captaincy is not locked in yet. Just the captaincy, probably. Tom de Koning is the other one. I think that at his price, he's worth the punt. I would love to have started Cherry and Gawn. I just can't squeeze it in at the moment. I've got a little bit of cash. $63,000 left over, but I really want to keep that in the tin just in case rookies get dropped and I need to make some adjustments as the season kicks off. I would very much rather keep that there. So Tom de Koning for me is the way to go. The other one is Harry Boyd. He's the other ruckman sitting at R3. And if he plays this week, I think that I'm going to take the punt on him. I just see St Kilda playing Marshall more forward. However, he might not play. He might genuinely not play this week. So if he doesn't play this week, I'm probably going to have to make some sort of changes. Yes, unfortunately. So this might not be the final team. It's all subject to selections. However, if all these guys are named and they are playing, there's no changes. This is it. This is it. The only time that there will be a change is if a rookie isn't playing like I expect him to play. So if Harry Boyd's not named, obviously Harry Boyd's not in my team, and I'll have to pick someone else at R3. It could be anybody at this point in time. I don't want it to be Reedy, but it could be anybody. It could be Angus. What's his name? The other Reed for West Coast. It could be him too if he's named. So it really depends on who is actually playing, because I would like to have a playing ruckman in my team. Flynn is still an option. I think I can make Flynn work. I just have to move things around, but let's see how that goes. My forward line. Jason Ward-Francis has made his way back into the team, and only because of the Zach Butters injury, I can see him starting quite well. Jack McRae, lockety-lock. It looked amazing last week when St Kilda looked shit in the practice match, and was their highest scorer. And I think I can see that continuing for a lot of games this year. Caleb Daniel, at that price, just pick him. He's got the role. Just do it. Hugo Garcia has Philippu's role. He has Philippu's role, and he'll have it for at least half a season, provided he doesn't get injured, of course. Scored 71 in the practice match. Didn't look amazing, but remember, that's more team players you have to distribute those points between, so really it would have been around an 80 score. I don't hate the pick. As I said, he's got the role, will have some spike games, and he's 100k cheaper than what Philippu was. Same sort of logic. May as well pick him. Tom Lynch, there is doubt over him. If he doesn't play, he's probably my way of getting someone else a better R3, personally. But let's see, again, if he's named, he's in my team. If he's not named, out. Probably Pal Pepper. Elijah Hewitt, DPP, playing in a midfield role and then rotating forward. I do like the scoring potential there, and his job security is pretty good. Stone had a good first game, 64. Didn't have a lot of time on ground, so if he can add to that time on ground, that could be potentially a bit higher. And then Sam Davidson looked amazing. Probably just skip that, change that up to Sam Davidson as the emergency. Looked amazing over the preseason. I think you have to start him. And in flex position, Sam Laylaw, or Lawler, as I've been told, is actually how you pronounce his name. Although that is not how you, like, phonetically, I don't understand the Lawler. Like, that's not, the English language is stupid sometimes, honestly, it really is. But anyway, Sam Lawler apparently is making his way to play his first game for the Tigers. So if he plays, as a Richmond fan, just have to have him. I just have to have him. And that's it. That's my team. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. This will be my team, provided that everyone is named, of course. You know, if players aren't named, I'll have to make some changes. But provided everyone's named, this is my final side, locked in for season 2025. Good luck this year, guys. Hopefully this helps you make your final changes. And please make sure to subscribe, like us on all our socials, and I'll be back same time, same place next week. No, but you can find me everywhere. Thank you again for watching, and I'll be back same time, same place next week. What's that? No!